All right, we are back with season 11 of the National Peanut Butter Association. It is Helix here with.
Hey everyone, it's Joe'd here, uh, doing our power rankings for the Sinnoh division. No longer the lowest division in the league. So,
Yeah,
for anyone who
Sinnoh.
didn't know,
Sinnoh rise up. Uh,
yeah, stonks are going up for Sinnoh. So, we added the Unova division, so Sinnoh is now the fourth out of five. And teams are looking pretty good here, I would say. So,
yeah, they're
um,
not bad at all compared to some of the years we've had. It's definitely much better. So we'll be pretty informal about this. We're not going to go through like a criteria or a grading scale. We're just kind of
yeah,
eyeball testing your teams. Obviously, like everybody said before, PRs don't matter. So just enjoy it and have fun with it, and just take everything with a grain of salt here.
yeah. I've done power rankings for a really long time at this point, and as I've gone further and further any kind of official rating scale or anything like that is it's completely made up. The best way to do power rankings is just on vibes and pretty much just like whatever team I think is the best based on like the first time I look at it is usually the best one. So Helix actually didn't make these rankings; these are all mine. Just as a disclaimer, so he'll probably disagree sometimes, and we'll see as we go.
I'm
We
just
haven't really discussed them,
I'm just raw
so
dogging this one here. So
yeah.
let's see what we
But
think.
yeah, it'll be good. So I guess a little context. It's National Dex singles. I don't think anyone's really watching this who's not in NPBA, but yeah, we have 120 points. I know it says 115 there at the bottom. This is just a thing on the prep doc.
Yeah,
So
shout
teams
out
are
Waka Whacker too here. Even though he goes by King Waka on Twitter, he is Whacker in our league. So shout out to him for getting the doc to us. It's very helpful.
yeah. So with the 120 points, I think it's an increase. I feel like we did like 115 last time. I don't really remember, but teams are a little bit stronger because of it. And yeah, we've got like two tier captains in the lower tiers. Is kind of how it worked. And other than that, we can get started. So
Let's
do you
jump
want to?
into the 16th out of 16 teams here. So our lowest power rate or our lowest ranked team is Ajax Inferno, Ajax, however you want to pronounce it, and
Yeah, I can start here, I guess. So when I first looked at this team, I mean, it was I think it was one of the first teams on the board. I believe it was like the third draft position. So had a pick three gouging fire, which like I respect it. And I was going down, and it was like these are some good mons. Like I would say I like pretty much every mon on this team, like in a vacuum. So I was thinking I'd have it rated a bit higher than this, but as you get into it, there's a lot of redundancy. So like you've got what is it? Three dragons, two waters, two darks, two fairies. We were talking about this before. I just think like I think you can double up on some types sometimes when you make a draft. Like pretty common to have two waters or two flying types, but usually when you get two waters, it's like Greninja with Alamamola or something. Like you have an offensive water and a bulky water, and here you got two bulky waters. Kind of do they do different things, but they fit a similar role in the team builder. You also got like a Slurpuff that's just a pure fairy. It doesn't really seem like it's adding much other than being like a web setter and a surprise sweeper, which can be good, but probably could use those points elsewhere. And then you got like Hydreigon and Goodra, which are both just special attacking dragon types. Obviously, Hydreigon does a lot more than that, but yeah. And then what's the other one? Dark. Absol, yeah. So Absol's the next thing. It's your fastest mon, but it's like not that good. Like it's not going to come every week. So your top speed tier is not very high, and the the top speed tier also isn't that good in my opinion. Especially when you already have Hydreigon as like the superior dark type. So, but I do really like. You have a lot of setup sweepers like Gouging Fire, Tapu Fini, even Metagross, Blastoise, or Shell Smash. You got like Dragon Dance, Hydreigon. You got a lot of ways to set up, and of course, the very powerful Terramag Yon Mega. Just felt like this team has a lot of potential if you like drop maybe the Blastoise and the Goodra and get something else. Fill out a couple of these weaknesses because, as you can see at the bottom, the type chart's looking a little rough in terms of resistances. So it's kind of where I landed on this team.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I like a lot of the mons on it. I don't know if I like all of these mons together. I will say, I guess not having a poison for absorbing spikes isn't as big of a deal with having Finny around, because I mean Finny can get poison when it comes in, but the other mons really won't. And if you look at it, it's like Boots. If it's not booster, Boots doesn't matter. I mean, you really don't want this to get poisoned if you're trying to sweep. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Potentially bouncing it back. So, maybe it's not as terrible to not have it. I do think not having a fighting type may be a little tough to break through some of the steel types you're going to face, because gouging, you may want defensive. But I like the mons. I just don't think this kind of works together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I agree with. I was thinking the same with no poison type. Feeny has to run Boots because if Feeny gets poisoned, like it's over. Feeny needs to have Feeny has no recovery. So, well, I guess you have Draining Kiss, but like not that great.
No.
So you really need Boots on Feeny now that you have no poison type, and like Feeny usually wants, I would say, leftovers unless you're running like weird Scarf and Spec sets. You typically want leftovers.
We know what Feeny does in NPBA. Where's Glenn? I miss Glenn so much.
Glenn needs to come back. He's been gone for over a year at this point.
That's so upsetting. People need to be baptized in the Finny 6-0.
Yeah, but those are all like Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Sword Power PDs.
Oh yeah, or sub Calm Mind.
Which, like, honestly, given how bulky this team is, like, I think you can afford setup Feeny as opposed to just like defensive, because you can run offensive Feeny and defensive Blastoise and just pretend that your Feeny is like the way that you would draft like a Greninja or something, and just try to sweep them.
It's not like we always spend so much time on the first team, but
I know.
It's not like it's not a bad team. It's just kind of awkward. I think that's the best way to describe it. Is it's awkward. It may end up, he may end up just, I've talked about certain people with this about, overloading Dragon because fairies can get overrun pretty quickly. But this one doesn't have
doesn't have a poison type.
It doesn't have a poison to do it. Metagross is a great fairy buster, for sure. But all right, well,
honestly, pretty decent team. I think you can fix this really easily and go to like top half easily if you just make a few changes. So, all right, let's go on to the next one.
All right, next one is Max 2580.
Yeah. So this one, I got to look at my notes on this one. I don't know if you have anything. A ladder?
Oh, it's like the step ladder. It goes just step by step by step by step by step by step by step. Like the speed tiers. It looked like you looked at the speed tiers and thought, this is the most important thing I have in my draft.
Yeah, the speed's good. Like we saw pretty poor speed before. This team is just like so offensive for like no reason.
It's great. Gen 9.
But we're not even playing PAL decks. We're playing SV, and you just you can't bring 8 offensive mons a game. Like, what value are you really getting out of a Nidoqueen? I mean, you can pretend that defensive Nidoqueen's good, but it's not. And then defensive Ninetales is actually okay sometimes, but it's really just Fortress. Yeah, and I think Melmetal has defensive sets, but it's your one dedicated defensive mon is already a steel type, so do you really need Melmetal as a defensive mon?
And the best Melmetal defensive set is AV full special defense. You don't even have to run attack or defense usually, and you're just fine. 135, 143, 143 is fat. It is a fat boy, but and you don't need much to do. Double Iron Bash does a trillion damage. I don't know. I still think Spec's overpriced. I know it's a great mon, but it's just so expensive. And then everyone My opinion is you see spec draft, you go ahead and you make sure you get your cheap, bulky-ish normal dark. You make sure you just have something for it for the one game you may play him on the schedule. I just think it's so easy to counterplay, but I don't think this team's
Yeah,
that. I mean, it's just this is a team that you want to play. You want to get up by one mon and then just force trades the whole time. Your differential is going to be poor, but you could easily just you get up by a mon, you could win pretty easily.
I think it's the kind of team where if the opponent gets an opportunity to set up, you pretty much lose because you have no way to stop setup sweeps. Basically, you have no haze. You don't have. I mean, maybe like some random like offensive mon gets haze, but like you don't. I don't see any like good Dragon Tail or Roar users. I'm sure like I think Veto Queen gets Roar.
It does.
Um, yeah, but it's like if they're already set up, Veto Queen has okay bulk, but it's like you're probably just getting killed.
Yeah, you're gonna have to run like red
So
card or something.
yeah, and then from what I can see, your one priority is just Urshifu. So unless Urshifu Aqua Jet is gonna kill him, like you're you're not in good shape if they set up on you because you have no real defensive core. So even though like you and it's the opposite is true too. Obviously, like if your Urshifu gets a Trailblaze or Spectre gets a Grimnay boost or a Latios clips Agility, like you're probably at least getting 2 kills. I just think you're gonna if you give the opponent one chance to do something, you can so easily lose. Um, that's kind of where I landed. I feel like maybe the Hail Core is just not needed, and we could just get a bulkier fairy. I mean, even Ninetales on its own is fine, and just change out the Arctozolt, but it does kind of feel like a waste once you get the Ninetales to not get the Arctozolt.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like if you have the Ninetales, you do want at least one sort of slush rush sweeper.
yeah, maybe it's just the Mega Pidgeot that we don't need here because we already have like Spectre and Latios just do the same thing but better in terms of just being like a fast special attacker, and your hazard removal is already so bad, and Mega Pidgeot needs hazard removal to work. That I think that might be the target to change here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I mean, can't miss Hurricane is a drug, but it is at the expense of 25 basically health every time you come in.
Yeah, and I don't know. The Hurricanes don't hit as hard as you think they're gonna hit. You can't run an item. You don't have any setup moves. Maybe you get like workup. I don't know.
Workup, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's so fake.
it's not great. No, this isn't. It's not a workup Howl Zamazenta here.
Howl Zamazenta is the truth. That
I
mon
think
actually has defense.
I think it has workup too.
Yeah, you can run Moonblast Zamazenta with workup.
No,
Actually.
it's. I mean, again, if this
Zamazenta is banned, by the way.
oh yeah, thank God. I think if Max plays it very offensively and tries to just get a lead early and continue his momentum, he might be okay. It just might be one. I feel like teams like this, it's one bad turn away from just snowballing the game for somebody else. Not that I think it's
Yeah,
like. I mean, this looks like fun. I mean, you're just clicking buttons.
yeah,
I mean, it's Veil offense. That's what it is. Which is, I mean, Melmetal, Urshifu, Spectre, Latios all love that. So
yeah. They do, but if people plan around it, you can just run Brick Breaker Psychic Fangs or whatever the other one is. Um, like I know that's not gonna work in every scenario, and that can be abused a little bit, but there's ways to beat Veil offense, and I don't think you can
there's
just
no
rely on
dark.
it. There is no dark, and there's really no normal to be immune to ghost because Mega Pidgeot doesn't count.
It's not
Yeah, your
bulky.
your ghost weakness, especially with Spectre or Latios, like you do really want like a honestly even like a Porygon or something, a
Yeah.
Munchlax, and you're also insanely fire weak. Just with the Hail Core and then the double steel. Uh, and like your fire resistances and Urshifu and Latios are like Latios is fine. Urshifu is a little fake because its special defense is so low. It's still taking a lot, and you don't want it to get burned by like a lava plume or something. So I don't know. I think fire is pretty spammable into this team,
Yeah.
and could be could have filled those holes a little better.
Yeah, a little bit here. All right, let's hop on over to LCO4, who is next.
Yeah, this team was originally also much higher for me. You can see, I mean, the offense is crazy good with Bundle, Moon, Ursaluna, and then you got like the Terra Stack Attacka, which can I think set Trick Room and attack, and then also you got the Trick Room over for the Ursaluna.
Yep.
You can run Trick Room, and Trick Room Slowking Galar doesn't really work because you can't use Chilly Reception because you'll go first. It's much better on like regular Slowking and Slowbro because they have teleport. Anyway, that's a minor thing. This is not really a Trick Room team. This was kind of
This
similar.
team's hilarious.
Like the last team we were saying has no defense. Like this team, I like. You got like a weird defensive core of Togekiss and Polion Slowking, which like I kind of like. It's got like good hazard removal, not the best hazard setting, but you got some. But your type chart is like kind of horrendous. It's really the reason I dropped this team so low is Earthquake and any fighting move is like the freest click of your opponent's life into you. Like Earthquake, if Togekiss is not alive, Earthquake destroys you. You have that is your only ground resist or ground immunity. And like you're probably going like Terra Grass, Stack Attack, or Terra Bug or something, but like
Flying,
maybe
yeah.
Terra Flying. But like you have to click that first. Like you can't switch it in.
Yeah.
And like yes, Togekiss is a good mon, and it's 4 times resist to fighting, so it's like every team is just gonna be like, okay, how do I kill Togekiss and then win the game immediately?
Well,
That's really what dropped it for me.
I think this team's hilarious because it. I do like the chilling reception into Blizzard bundle. That's
Yes,
awful
yes.
to play against. But cracks me up is the speed. Togekiss is like the fakest 80 speed of all time because your Scarf or your Bulk, you're like your 80 is you're not running 252.
To be fair,
80 is fake. But like
I don't think many base 80s are real anyway. I think
it's
once
like
you get
the
below
Nidos.
85,
It's the Nidos and like.
aren't the Nido's 85? I think Nido King's 85.
Yeah, but then Nido Queen's 76.
Yeah, but I don't think Nido Queen even runs speed that much.
I just ran speed on it in a Sword Shield tour, but
there's some, but I think Togekiss is typically, Togekiss, obviously, like we just said, but I think the majority of base 80s don't really care about speed, or like maybe if you have 2 base 80s, you'll like max speed to try and speed tie something, but
yeah,
a lot of base 80s are just at the point like most base 70s and below are, where you're just like, whatever, I'll just either scarf it or just not care about speed, or run like 16 speed to do like weird creeping stuff.
Yep.
Which is fine, but yeah, the 105-80 gap, even if you say 80 is a real speed tier, every base 100, like Garchomp, Sandy Shocks too,
I mean, there's
Urshifu's,
Terra Staraptor. I mean, there's a lot of nukes in the 100 region that become scarier.
Both Urshifu's get adamant on you for free. Urshifu destroys this team, by the way. Because now your other fighting resistance Slowking also gets destroyed, so once again, it's just Togekiss or bust, and Togekiss gets 2 KO'd by Poison Jab, so yeah, that's going to be a scary one.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the removal is kind of iffy to have your kind of 110 borderline breaker. I don't actually know what non-Terra Ogre Hearthflame does, because I've only seen it. I've never played it without Terra.
It's just a much worse version of the regular one, or the Terra one, because it's Fire Grass is pretty good coverage, and it sets up, and it's like, okay, but you're also a Fire
Ivy Cudgel Fire is really nice. You're right.
Yeah, and Mold Breaker for like Heatran is cool.
Yeah, I've seen that. Then I've seen a replay where somebody sent a 6-0, or they brought out the Heatran to counter it with Ability Shield and just clicked Stop Tantrum and 6-0'd the whole team. That person was banned from NPBA. It was Martin.
Okay.
It was Martin.
Okay.
Anyways, but I mean, I think this team kind of reminds me a little bit of Max's team, in that a lot of it is really offensive. This has a little bit more defensive switch, and Cloaking is in Nat decks, probably for sure the best defensive mon on the board.
Yeah.
And I think it does
Now
well
you're
with
making
this
me
team.
check. But yeah, as a pure defensive mon, yes,
Regen.
I would agree.
And then getting bundle with it was great. And I think getting Luna with it too is fantastic. So I think I do, and Terra Stack Attack I think is borderline bannable. We'll see how it goes this season.
I think it'll be fine, honestly.
It does so much damage, and it's so hard to kill once it gets a beast boost up. But
Yeah. Well, let's move on.
Fun. I think it's a fun.
Oh
one.
yeah.
Okay, that's
No,
kind
it's
of what
yeah,
we
it's
had
good.
with our, or Joe'd had for his bottom three. Now we kind of move into the middle teams, which I think usually we would say are very similar usually.
Yeah. So what are we on?
Dong.
Dong? Yeah.
Is it Dong? Is it Dong? I'm gonna
I
just call
said
you Dong.
Donge because there's an E at the end. Donge.
Are you sure it's not just Dong?
I have no idea. Maybe it's D0. I have no clue. But I honestly like kind of hate this team. Like I don't really like the mons on it that much. I mean, I do like, but I don't. I feel like you have like all of the really good Terramons that can't Terra. Like King Gambit, Enamorus, Superior, Skeledirge are all like insane with Terra, and none of them are allowed to Terra because we're only doing like lower tiers. You still got like pretty like Toxicity is pretty good with Terra, and to Titan you can do like the Chili, Glow King, Slush Rush stuff. It's definitely your secondary Terra of the two. But yeah, the reason this was so low for me was just kind of vibes. You know, we're kind of getting into that range where it's like it's fine. It has like a little of everything. You really only have one hazard setter. Whiscash, King Gambit, and Toxicity are all fake. Whiscash is not a real Pokemon, and then Toxicity and King Gambit are very rarely clicking hazards. So like your entire hazard game hinges on Gliscor, which has defog, and then what are you running like defog and hazards on the same mon? Like you can do it. It's not that good. And, like, Serp's fine as a defogger, but it's not amazing. But
yeah, kind of tough.
I can say Gliscor Slowking's a really good combo. That the typings, like the type chart between those two, works out very nicely. You can switch between them for resistances.
Terra Tico.
Yeah, well, you know, I have a Slowking Galar, which is why I lost. That's the only reason. Because if I had regular Slowking, it would be better. Trust.
I think it's worse in that situation.
It's worse.
It heals. Oh,
but it forces you to click Matcha Gotcha, and then you'll miss.
That's
so it's
true.
Actually better.
I would miss. I was due to miss, so I agree.
Yeah.
I think Lop, Gliscor, I think the first 5 is actually a really good, defensive with offensive pairing, speed and pivoting. I think it gets a little wacky here. I get this a Titan. I think it's a fine extra piece to grab that you'll bring three times this season. It'll probably win you 1 or 2 of those games, like on the spot. Tox is a very good Terra captain. I think it's just I think people figured it out. I don't think it's as difficult as it was in the beginning. Yeah. I don't love non-Terra Superior, but I think it's still fine. Dirge is good. Wishcash for a point is fine. It's just you don't have a lot of pivoting to get into Gambit and Enamorus when it's not low punny Gliscor Slowking out. I feel like that's going to be your struggle.
Yeah, I feel like it just doesn't have a lot of stuff. Like you look on the right side of the board here, the page here, and it's like I feel like there could be a few more things there. You know, like that's kind of what I mean by like the eye test and like the vibes. Like Megalopunny is like anti-vibes for me. I think the mon like I moved it up because Black did really well with it in Kanto. It went from like 17 to 18. But I don't know. I just think if you want some immediate damage, it's okay, but it's not quite enough to like really sweep. And I don't really know where you sweep with this team unless it's like specifically you get the rare very good Serp matchup, or you get like a Slowking into Titan thing. which are both fine, but very matchup dependent and probably only going to happen like once at most. Whereas like your top tiers are a little bit less reliable, especially like King Gambit without Terra is very unreliable in my view. And then Enamorous can it takes some work to make Enamorous like good in a matchup for like doing anything more than just being like a decent wall breaker in terms of like winning the game outright. So we have this as what 13th. It's still pretty good. Like I don't really think any of these teams are that bad.
No,
So I
I
feel like
agree.
you'll go up, and I just think the teams above it are a little better. But, like it's fine. It's still pretty decent.
Yeah, it's not bad. All right, on to Bionis, our Xenoblade fan.
Yeah, this team's funny.
How did this happen? How?
What were they? What was their pick? Let's
Is he
see.
a wheel?
Uh, no, Bionis was the sixth overall pick. So you got a round one. I don't know if there were grace period things done, but assuming there were not, you got a round one Curum at sixth overall. Then you got a Goldango at like what is that? Almost 30, like 28th overall or something, or I don't know, 27th overall, and then you got Samurott back at like 39th overall, something like that.
That's a nasty,
So
annoying group.
that was kind of crazy. Um, yeah, this team is. I remember running down like this team is just hazard stack. Like you literally are fully leaning into hazard stack, and then
Mhm.
you have two win cons, and they are Kieran Black and Mega Medi. I really think I do think I almost drafted this. I have Kieran Black also, and I drafted Terra Metacham. I'm probably going to drop it, and I almost drafted Mega Metacham. I just couldn't make the points work; it was too expensive. But they do pair pretty well. They don't like fairies, which is kind of annoying. And you're like, you do have the Goldango for that though, so it pretty much works out. But I would
Except
have maybe liked to see like another special attacker. I mean, you have Goldango Clefable, but something faster because the speed here is like horrendous, like
it's
atrocious
slow.
speed.
It's slow.
Cyclozar is not really that offensive. It's kind of just there for rapid spin and like pivoting around. Terra, I don't really know what you're doing on it, and like other than that, like there's no speed here at all. You have Webb's Orbital. That's kind of your plan with like Webb's Curum, Webb's Mega Medijam. Um, but they do so much damage that it's like it's honestly fine. Like your opponents are gonna spam boots on you, so you're gonna have to run knockoff. Like click that pretty heavily, I'd say. But other
It's
than that,
Clef, Cyclozar, Hamrot's gonna have to spam knockoff. But yeah, it's a. I do think Kiram, Goldengo, Samurott, Clefable is a really nice four, and then you're probably
yeah,
filling in Mega Medi most games, and then from there it's probably Skarm or Gastro or Cyclozar. I think your team almost always wants every single mon. I mean, I think it's gonna be tough to decide most weeks what you want to bring.
yeah. I don't know if we needed Gastro on here, but I guess weirdly, no. Actually, it's fine.
I do think you're gonna struggle breaking bulky waters if Kiram is not specs or especially offensive freeze dry,
Yeah,
and then if Medi gets chipped pretty far and goes down quickly.
yeah, both. Well, I guess Mega Metagem has Drain Punch at least, but no, Kiram has Roost. So I was gonna say both of them get chipped. He can recover, and like Clefable can Wish. So there were like enough of those like little interactions, like Clefable Wish, uh, obviously the Goldango spin blocking, and a couple more things like that. It had a lot of knockoff. Like it looks like a very weird team. It's definitely one of the most in the division. Probably number one like most unique team here. But and those teams typically are very bad. I would say if you stray too far from the norm, it doesn't always work out too well. But this one I actually think looks pretty decent because you have enough support for it. And I was saying earlier, like you have your two main attackers are both physical, but like they're so strong that like physical walls don't even check them anyway. And like one of the best physical walls, Skarmory, is like, on your team. So
Yeah, you're set.
um, it's like I don't know, like Celesteela will be annoying. for sure. That mon kind of destroys you. Corviknight to slightly less extent.
You know, it's funny though.
Um,
I don't think Corviknight and Celesteela live close combat. Two of them in
uh,
a row
uh,
from Medi.
they probably don't live two, honestly.
No.
But Selly, if it gets like a defense boost, maybe
Yeah,
then
maybe.
it's cooking. Or like if Corv hits an iron defense before Medi comes in, like that's why I'm like it could be a bit tricky because Goldango can't touch them, and then like Clefable can touch them, but it doesn't want to take steel moves. So
Yeah.
those are always going to be problem mons, but it's going to be you're going to have to just play more, a little more carefully around them, not let them get the boost up.
It's not. Yeah,
But
it's not a bad team. It's just kind of different. But I think it's I think you've got some really good pairings. Boots. You forcing boots on a ton of mons is really good, just in general. So
yeah, all right, let's go to
it
where are we now?
is Shadow Gear.
Yeah, so we're at 11th overall, I want to say. I
Yeah,
think
this
so.
is a hyper offensive team.
Yeah. It's like you started out like bulky offense. All four of your starting mons can be run defensive or offensive, but are like, I would say all four are better offensive. Maybe Heatran's better defensive. Um, which one do you disagree with on that?
I think Heatran's better offensive. I think
Yeah,
it's I drafted it just to bust fairies, just because I was so
yeah.
fairy weak with Shifu. I was like, I have to get something that's gonna either anytime a fairy comes in, I like have a decent swap in, and I can hit back with a ton of damage, or cause some absolute stupid shenanigans with like Magma Storm if I could ever hit it. And Prim is the other one that's like you want to run it defensive, but at times you're almost just better off clicking specs or like the low speed scarf to outspeed their top fastest mon if you can.
So here's the truth about Prim. Best set is actually defensive specs.
I've
No
run
one
it.
knows about this. You run max HP, max defense, and then you run choice specs, and it's the greatest set I've ever run. I'd say probably on any mon ever. It's really funny because
They
you
missed
come in,
the calc is really hard. You can't figure out the
yeah,
calc.
yeah.
The calc is
They
impossible
come
to figure
in,
out.
you come in on like a U-turn or a flip turn. They deal like whatever 4%, and they calc it in, and they're like, oh, that must have been defensive because it was supposed to be 5% or 6% or whatever. And then they like switch something in, and it gets O code when it was supposed to live, and it's really funny. I don't know if it's actually that good, but I've actually the one or two times I've had Frame, I've run it. But anyway, this team like you got four bulky offensive mons to start, and then we're like,
I need
they're
speed. I
all
want to go
four.
fast.
You're like actually. I know all these mods could be defensive or offensive, but the entire rest of the team is going to be all out offense with literally no bulk whatsoever, except like the fakest bulk of Bramble Gas, running like Strength Sap. But
Yeah, seed, sub seed, strength.
yeah, like your type chart kind of sucks. I mean, part of it is just Bramble Gas kind of having a bad typing and like messing some stuff up. But I think my biggest issue with this team is I just don't think you need Mega Beedrill. Like Weavile, Zeraora, Mega Beedrill, they all do kind of the same thing. Like they're fast attackers. Maybe Zera is a little closer because it's like also can pivot out. But like you didn't need Mega Beedrill. Like you already
I
have 143.
I think Zera negates the need for Beedrill.
Yeah,
Because you have like
you
Beedrill's a good again fairy killer, but you have Heatran. I don't think you really need it. I think you could get a better, maybe more stable poison, like honestly like a Nido King or a Nido Queen would have been probably solid here. Um, I don't think you need the U-turn spam considering you've got Prem, Zera, Staraptor. Um, I don't think it's that. And then Latias, if you want to run it defensively, can run Baton Pass pretty freely. So I think maybe Beedrill can get swapped around, especially considering I mean then again you do have great spin, so
yeah, your hazard removal's like really good. I mean, Obviously, we're not counting Beedrill or Staraptor, but like Defog Latias is pretty solid. Spinning
I
on
mean,
Tusk is great.
yeah, spin Bramble, spin Great Tusker.
Yeah, and you've got like good setters. I mean, really, Tusk just makes any team so good. So
Yeah,
like,
it's a great glue piece. I mean, Star Raptor is a good Terra captain. I think Bramble's a pretty good secondary captain. I think you're going to run offensive Raptor most weeks, but you might run Bramble for defensive or something. So it's not bad at
yeah,
all.
I think Bramble must have been like you had like 1 point, and you could either get like a garbage mon or like I don't even know what we priced Bramble at. Yeah, it was 8 points, but it was one more to Terra. So yeah, you probably had like 1 point at the end, and like whatever, I'll just Terra this mon instead of getting like some crap. But yeah, I think like that. A lot of these teams we've gone through so far really have like an easy fix, and for me, it's just like cut Mega Beedrill, get a different bulky poison. You don't need a bug type. You have every type on the chart except for rock, and you could also cut bug and not really care about it, and just like honestly get something to like. Mm, what's your biggest weakness? I would say a fairy. I know you're already probably gonna get a poison, so in that case, I don't know. Whatever looks cool, pick it up. Something bulky.
Yeah, I mean, you could play
Just
around with Bramble getting. I mean, Mega Beedrill's 11, so you could swap this out into a 9 and get something a little higher. But let's
yeah.
all right, and that is.
We
Okay.
going? We good?
Yeah, we're on
Oh,
Shadow Gear. Kyrak is. I think that's how you pronounce it. Is up
yeah. In my
next.
head, I have always said K-Rack. I don't know, but it's
Eh,
probably
it could be.
Kyrak. It's always funny to hear like how other people say other people's names because we always have a way of saying it in our head. But anyway,
I
what do you
don't
think
want
in
to
here?
play this team.
Yeah, this team is annoying. It's really annoying. Yeah, we've been complaining that like the past whatever teams don't have enough bulk. Yeah,
That's because he took it all.
this Kyrak took it all. Yeah, no, this team like has the opposite problem. I was like, I kind of think you didn't need Tinkaton. You could probably just get an actual offensive mon, but honestly, the offense is still pretty good. Like Palafin, Zapdos, Mega Sceptile, Blaziken is like a solid core. It's just gonna be like, are these mons good in this specific matchup? And all four have maybe not Palafin, but they all kind of have like matchup concerns sometimes. Like Mega Sceptile has poor coverage. Blaziken gets walled by a lot of things, and like Zapdos is a little unreliable. So uh, your offense, like I kind of wanted like one more reliable thing, and it would have been a low tier replacing Tinkaton or something. But that's like my only complaint. Maybe a ground weakness is kind of bad, but like
Yeah, the only
this
problem
team
is
is so
he
annoying.
he took his Tink to be a Steel type, and I
You
think
have
it's
Silvally.
yeah, but I think with Terra Sylvali, I think you just want to run Choice Band, normal, multi attack, explosion, parting shot, coverage. I think because I
Terra
120.
normal.
I mean, just normal. You're just You're normal Terra normal. I mean, I wonder what the calcs are on that because it has a 120 base. I mean, that's a ton of damage.
I can run it up right now on like a Mew. If you have like a Mew with max HP and no other defense, what's the calc? Silvally normal with choice band?
Yeah, Terra normal, Sylvali Terra normal,
All right, let's see.
multi
Does it
attack.
get yeah, it does. Oh, well, okay. Multi attack. Let's go Chippity 2. Let's go Jolly just to be more honest. Yeah. So on to so max attack, Jolly, choice band, Terra normal, explosion to max HP, no defense Mew does 162 to 191%. Multi attack does 78 to 92. So it kills. It has a roll to kill after rocks, and it always kills after 2 rocks against max HP Mew. If you go Terra normal, which is really funny because there's no way he drafted this for Terra normal. I'm sure it was taken as like a, the mind game of like you basically get 2 Terra types because you come in as one type and switch to
Right.
any other type.
I'm
I
telling
mean,
you,
yeah,
offense. Terra normal offensive Silvally is the way to go. If it's just to tell you, if it's defensive Mew, it's a 2-hit KO every time. No boots, doesn't matter anything. It's 110% a 2-hit
Cool.
KO with multi attack. I mean, that's a lot of damage.
It's still guaranteed to a KO after leftovers.
Yeah, it's just wild. So I think for him, Silvally needs to be run offensively, but I mean it is also just a fan. I mean 95s across the board is a ton. Is thick. Parting shot is obviously one of the best moves in the game. Clear Amulet kind of nerfed it,
but wait, I keep forgetting. Clear Amulet, does it completely block it, or does it block the stat?
Completely blocks it. So Mirror Armor on Corv bounces it back, and I think you still swap.
Yeah.
And I think if you have Magic Bounce, if they click it, your mon swaps out, and it bounces the stats back to them. Like, it's a wild interaction. But I mean, honestly, Kyrak's team is... I just don't want to... I wouldn't enjoy playing this, but I playing with it or against it. I hate Screamtail. I hate Petch. Tinglu is such a classic Gen 9 mon where it's just min-maxed to hell and back.
Yeah. I remember I wrote in my notes, I don't have them up right now, but there's something like, your defensive core just has like every move that you want. The only thing you're missing is, I think, Will-O-Wisp, and I'm pretty sure Silvally gets Will-O-Wisp. But yeah, like Screamtail has Hazard's Wish, Thunderwave, Encore. Pecharunt has like Poison and Confusion and Parting Shot, and like weirdly extremely high damage with whatever that move is. Yeah.
Chain and then Hex.
And then Tinglu has all the hazards. It has Whirlwind. It has HP cutting with Ruination for bulky stuff. So, and then Tinkaton is kind of just another Screamtail. Like you have Rocks, T-Wave. I don't know where your knockoff is. Oh, Tinkaton gets knockoff. I wasn't sure. Maybe like you wish one of like the better, because if we just pretend Tinkaton's not here because it's like the worst mon on the team and kind of outclassed by Screamtail, like you do wish something here had knockoff, and Blaziken doesn't use knockoff very well. That's like the one thing, because you do have really good hazard stacking between Tinglu and Screamtail. Like you wish you could get rid of the boots, but I think this team's really good.
I do too. I think it's great. Califin's not my cup of tea. I've used it a couple times. I hate the one turn thing. I feel like it's so easy at times to exploit, and you're basically giving someone a free turn. But if you can get around that, I think Zap's a great partner for it, and I think this is just tough, static. I mean, all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. That's a good team. All right, this is where we kind of go into what we think are like the higher end of the middle teams. It starts with Regulus Corneus, who I thought when I read it the first time was just Regulus Cornelius. I don't know why. My boomer eyesight just not working.
Gotta get to the doctor for your.
I need it all in Braille, so.
Obviously, you just look at like the top three of this team, and it's like extremely scary in prep. The one thing though is like steel types kind of destroy you. Bax has Earthquake, but it's not quite as strong because it's not stab. But it's in Mega Dynasty Earth Power, so like it's really not even that bad. But I was like, yeah, you got the Chandelure with Terra, so steel types don't like that, and you have Mienshao just for fun. So even the top three, like in theory on the type chart, don't like steels because 5 out of their 6 stab types are resisted.
Yeah, Meowscarada doesn't count though, because low kick still doing it. Low kick is blowing up a steel type.
You get low kick, so it'd be like maybe like an Aegislash, and like no one drafts Aegislash anymore. That's not even a real Pokemon. So I think like as long as you don't just like choice lock your Baxcalibur, like which is like a horrible item for Baxcalibur anyway, like just don't do something stupid and you'll be fine. Like this top 3 is so hard to deal with. I would say what I categorize this team as is like it feels like you shouldn't have had enough points to do this. Like, there's too many good things here. Even like Furfru, which is like not at all needed with Blissey. Like,
Yeah, wait,
still
I didn't
feels like
notice that at all.
it. I know it's like a team mascot thing or something. I don't know if that's true. I'm just making that up. But like, it more feels like that. It feels like Furfru's at least like an okay. I assume it was 1 point. Like 102 speed. You didn't really need it, but like, it's kind of funny. I still think Blissey sucks. Like, I stand by that, but it is actually pretty good with Corviknight Swampert. Like, they make a nice defensive core, and it can pivot in your big threats. I mean, you already have Corviknight Swampert to do that, so Blissey feels like a little unneeded. Maybe you could have gotten better Mon and just gotten like a Munchlax or a Porygon, one of the better normals, which are both of those are better than Blissey, in my opinion. But yeah, this team's just ridiculous. The biggest issue though is your hazard removal with only Corv, even though it's one of the best defoggers. You got like Corv, and then you've got like Magic Bounce, and you don't really want to run boots on that many of these guys. Like, Bax really wants loaded dice, and Vikavolt can run boots, but it's usually a lead, and then Chandelure I feel like usually wants like Scarf or Specs. So hazards are going to be an issue. What keeps this team down? If it had like one more spinner, I think it could move into like the top 5, honestly. But right now it's kind of in the middle.
I was thinking your issue with defog is you don't really want to click it. If you're setting webs up, you really don't want to get rid of it. You don't want to waste that turn. And then you have spikes and rocks.
So you really want a spinner.
Yeah, I think you'd want a spinner. But I think that might be getting rid of Furfur is only 1 point.
You get rid of Blissey, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would try to find something else for Blissey, because I think Furfru could probably handle the spec when you run into it. 75-90 is not too bad. Like, you're not taking a ton of damage from Dark Pulse or Draining Kiss. You could probably find something. Blissey's just so easy if to play around, especially like something that wants to set up on you. It's not too difficult. But I think otherwise, Swampert's, if you got that really in round 5, that's great. Shandy's a good Terra Captain. Muck's a great low tier budget. Mienshao, again, good middling tier fighting. And then your first 3 are very good. I think Bax is always debatably fraudulent. You're actually the only team that took him in our top 4 divisions. So.
Why do you think it's a fraud? I think Bax is the truth.
I just think he doesn't want to run boots, but he kind of needs boots, and the speed tier is so easily crept in that a lot of your Scarfers now are going to be those 100 base anyway to outspeed these things, that it's not too difficult to come back in revenge, especially if he clicks Scale Shot and you're -1. But it's a long debate between people thinking Bax is as good as Kieran Black, and I am a Kieran Black believer.
I remember talking about this in mod chat. Like, I think we made it so. I have to check. I think Bax was like.
Bax is like 16.
Yeah, Bax is 16. Kieran is 16, and then Kieran Black is 18. I remember people saying like they're all kind of equal, and like honestly, kind of agree. I don't think Kieran Black is that much better, but I still put it higher just because, in terms of just sending it in and clicking a move, and it also gets freeze dry, like with a 120 special attack. It is just better, but after you set up, I don't think Bax is that much worse, especially because you get Earthquake, so you get an actual ground attack. You don't have to run like, what is it, Earth Power? And you can run Dragon Dance on Bax. You can't run it. Kieran Black is banned.
We should let that go for one season. Just make it like 30 points.
Oh, if I had a Dragon Dance in our game, I would have won.
Oh yeah,
on the first turn, I would have won the game. Yeah, but it is worse than Kieran Black. I don't think that's too controversial, but
I just think Kieran Black, just the whole.
I don't think
for me, it's the 120 base special attack with the decent move pool to go with it. Just makes it so much more. so much harder to play against. Is you run that risk of I guessed wrong or predicted wrong on. I brought in my physical wall, and now I'm taking 55% from Ice Beam or Draco, and now I'm kind of in a hole. So I don't know. That's discussions for a different day. We'll see how it goes. But I think this team's fine. It's a
It's
good team.
it's good. Yeah. We didn't even mention Mega Diancie, but it's good. Good
Yeah, I
mon.
mean 160,
Mixed.
160, very
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway.
the most like the 110 almost feels to me like the most quintessential speed now in draft.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's everywhere. All right, on to Moth Gang. It's
Yeah.
really
I never know where to put the rain team. I think it is eighth here. And yeah, I mean, like we said, like you can change so many of these guys around by like two or three spots, and it'd be like, yeah, that's fine. And like this team could be top six. I wouldn't put it quite top five. I think that's its own tier, but like I never know where to put rain. I usually underrate it, so I tried to not underrate it this time. I think I like that you didn't fall into the trap of drafting like five water types, like so many rain teams do. You only have Pelipper and Mega Swampert, and I think that's fine. And our Chaladon was really like a boon to rain teams in Gen 9. You can run like Thunder on your Thunderous, which is fun. But the one thing I really liked here was the Terra Overquill. I just think like Overquill's a mon that a lot of teams want. Typically, it gets drafted pretty often. So like the fact that you got it on the rain team's really nice. And with Terra, I think you're gonna just do a lot of damage. I would say you probably just want to go stab Terra. I don't think you want to do coverage Terras because your attack stat is, I want to say it's like 115. Like it's a little bit low, so you'll appreciate the stab boost. But yeah, your swift swimming is going to be really good, and you're pretty decently bulky. Yeah, I like this iteration of Marine Team.
I like it because it's not 100% rain. Like if you don't bring Pelipper, Mega Swampert, you could easily bring Darkrai, Arch, Glim, Sylve, Bellybolt, Thundy, Overquill to almost any game. To sure, Stunfisk, Galar doing its best over here.
It's
I think your other. I think Bellybolt is also a really good fat Terra Cap. I mean, 90, 109, 91, 103, 83 with two brain dead abilities in static and electromorphosis. I mean, it's just
hey, don't count out Damp for the Silvally matchup.
that would be really funny if on this video he brought Damp and they clicked Explosion and he survived. I think Glim is maybe besides Sneasler the best poison type in draft. I'm trying to think of the other
No,
top.
Slowking
Oh,
Galar.
Glowking, yeah, Glowking, Sneasler, and then Glamora. But Corrosion
Yeah,
is.
I think that's
I
probably
think
fair.
Corrosion's underrated on Glamora. I say this every time I do a PR and I see Glamora. As I always say, not enough people run Corrosion, because everyone I think thinks, oh, I have to bring my poison type into the Glamora matchup, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll come out here so I don't take super effective from rock or sludge. Then all of a sudden your Corviknight, your whatever you're bringing in, just got hit with corrosion toxic. And you're like, it's not good. So
Yeah,
just
I think Corrosion's underused as well. Just because.
Greg.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The one big issue is this team. You have five things weak to ground. I think Stunfisk Galar is like probably the worst low tier you could have picked. Like I know it was a low tier, and like that's fine. I'm checking right now how many points. It was 3 points. Like that's a real mon. You could take something better than that. You already have a ground. You already have a steel, so it wasn't like you needed that. And
Maybe it was
you are missing.
Maybe he took it for a meme. I don't know.
You can look down at the bottom of this team. You are missing so many types. You don't have a normal type, which is fine because you have Darkrai and Overquill, so like you have your Ghost and Psychic stuff. Normal types don't deal Psychics. Anyway, no Fire type, but it's a Rain team, so that's fine. No Grass type was my big issue. I think Rain teams need Grass types because you're going to boost your opponent's what's it called? You're going to boost your opponent's water types, and like Mega Swampert doesn't resist water.
Yeah.
Pelipper doesn't resist water when the rain's up.
Well, not
and
special
like
for sure.
even physical, like 60 100's okay, but you're probably not speccing that much into bulk. You
Yeah.
might be, like, you could. Our Chalodon's like the one that actually does resist water.
But again, it's not
But
great, especially under
yeah,
rain.
so if there's like a decent grass type with good special defense, I would go and look
Hell,
into something
Lilligant
like that.
is probably available.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever works. I just think you need to have a grass type on a rain team, especially because like that's the whole like benefit of rain is like you get your water types, you get your electric types, and then you have like a fire type or not a fire type. You have a grass type that isn't weak to fire now because of the rain. Like that's sort of the whole deal.
You could, I mean, you could
Um,
Pharaoh Seed.
sure. Yeah, Ferroseed's fine. I don't know if you no, because you want the ground resist. You don't have
Yeah.
you're too weak to ground because right
I
now
mean,
you're
it might
you're
as well be. You're not taking that thing with a Violite's not taking much damage.
yeah, but I don't know. It's fine.
I'm
You know,
not even looking at the dock. So, all right.
you the other I do want to say real quick, you have no ice resist, so like this team has major weaknesses, and also adding a grass type would make your ice weakness worse. But I still think you did a pretty good job, and you'd maybe just tweak a couple things, but otherwise doing pretty good here. So yeah, if you want to move.
Pun Pun, who is obviously the GOAT and took Miss Magius Terra first round, which is a great Terra captain. Um, Levitate is always good, and then followed it up with he was like pick or she, I don't know, sorry. Pun Pun was pick like 14, I think.
15.
15, yeah. I mean, so it wasn't that crazy taking this Magus. You got Coco, which is crazy that Sneasler came all the way back like 30 picks later.
Yeah, the fact that Coco made it to 15, or it wasn't even 15. I guess it was
8,
18th, no, 17th, 18th,
18th.
which is like yeah. So you got the 18th pick Coco, which I think isn't crazy. I think Coco is overrated in that decks because you give your opponents booster energy. Like every team has a Paradox Mon, but anyway, like a 18th pick Coco is like a little late but reasonable. But then whatever that is, like 500th pick Sneasler is like absurd that it got back to you, and it's because you could have just gone round one Coco, round two Sneasel, and everyone would already think that's a good team.
Yeah.
But you got round two Coco, round three Sneasler, and still Mega Garchomp was on the board, which, as we know, pairs well with Coco because the types are good and stuff. Yeah, this moved up on the tier list or on the ranking list just because those three you see right there of Coco, Sneasler, and Chomp are so strong. And then Miss Magius is actually a very good Terra Cap, in my opinion. And then you got like some solid bonds and Iron Crown, Tyranitar, got some bulk with Rotom Wash. I do think you're kind of mid to low tiers of like Chansey, Charizard, Fossils, Levany are not very good Pokemon. I don't think they do a lot for the team. Like you don't need Frostlass when you have Miss Magius. Like I don't think you need two ghosts. I think Levany's not really real, and then Chansey and Charizard are pretty meh. So like you have 11 Mons, like maybe combine two of those into one and get something better, because you do lack a little depth, in my opinion, in terms of Mons that really can come every week. But like you still got good hazards, you got good pretty good type chart and resistances, good speed, really good speed actually, extremely fast team.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah, it's gonna be great.
I think it's a pretty good team. I think the Tyranitar Chomp combo is really nice too.
Yeah, yeah, I like that you have the terrain and the sand. I think, and I don't think you have to do like full on terrain extender or obviously not terrain extender, but sand rock, whatever it's
No,
called,
you
speed rock.
definitely, yeah, you don't need to. But base 170 earthquakes boosted or 120 earth powers, that's a lot. I mean, that does a ton
Yeah,
of damage.
it's just nice to know that like with Tyranitar, you can send it out, you can get up rocks, maybe knock something off, take a kill, let the Tyranitar die, and you have like 2 turns of sand up, so Mega Chomp can just get 2 kills with Earthquake or like whatever it is.
Well,
Like
he
you don't
also
need a
pursuit. Tyranitar is
yeah,
also
pursuit
probably
is
the
legal.
premier pursuiter in this.
Yeah, I know like Weavile gets it. There's but it's definitely in the top top 2 or 3. I actually think Alolan Muck is one of the best pursuiters because of how bulky it is. But,
134 just is a freaking massive pursuit.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I do feel like you've wasted a lot of points in that Chansey to Levany range, but you're still like just those 7 of like the top 6 plus Rotom is still so good.
Yeah,
that
I agree. I think this. I think
like,
you can make this. I think Frostlass is not. I don't know if you really needed the extra Ghost, but I think you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Maybe a game you need webs for some reason.
No, you don't. No. Levany is an okay usable low tier if you need webs, but this is the opposite of a team that needs webs. Like you have Coco, Sneasler.
Yeah, you do not. I think your first 6, Frostlass is going to have a couple games where it's going to come, and then Rotom. I think you're honestly fine. You could probably meld this into something extra and get another like with 120 points. I feel like you're better off just really loading up.
I think Chansey plus what is it, Terra Charizard? I'm checking their board real quick. That would give them back 13 points. And if you take out Levany, that's 15 points. So you could add look at this team and then imagine another top tier added to it. Like that's what the potential you have is.
I would get get like a top tier normal or something if you could.
If Terrapagos was on the board, that'd go insane, but it's obviously taken.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. This is a good team. All right.
Yeah.
You Kyred, aka PokeJoe'd.
I have no idea how to say your name. I've always said like Weekarad, which I've known you for a long time. Do not know how to say your name.
Yeah, but, send us the phonetic pronunciation and spelling of your name.
Yeah. Could you take this for a sec? I gotta.
Yeah, I got it. Torn, Megasis, Boomer, Kyurem, Vaporeon, Lando, Bronzong, Grimmsnarl, and then obviously the little shaggy dog. It's a raccoon. Zigzagoon? Technically, it's supposed to be like a ferret.
It's a raccoon.
I mean, it's a raccoon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's got the. It's like a dog.
It's in the name.
It's a dog. I think this is a good team. Just on the first, I mean.
Yeah.
This was a good use of the 120 point budget. Like
it's not even a 120 point team. He has 2 points left, and he doesn't even have an 11 mon team. It was because he had 2 megas and no one stopped him. He had Mega Scizor and Mega Manectric, and then he was like,
"That's
okay,
that's me and fault."
Yeah, he just got Terra Manectric, which is like okay. Yeah, but I don't know why he didn't pick up just like a random 2-pointer, but
doesn't need it when you have this. I mean, your first 8, whatever here, are so good. I mean, Bronzong is a really good, I think, Terra defensively, especially considering like you have great setup and like your first 4 mons are all incredible for setup. Vaporeon is with Calm Mind is not bad. I think you probably could have gotten this for Terra, maybe, and that would have been even better. But I think this is a very well balanced team. I don't know how well balanced does in Gen 9, but it is Nadex, so it's a little bit better. I do think
it's pretty offensive.
Yeah, it's like a bulky offense.
Yeah, Scizor, Kyurem, and Rillaboom are like pretty bulky, I would say.
Kyurem's so
good.
And so good.
And like you've got what is it? 3 defoggers that are all like offensive. So like maybe you would like to have a defensive spinner or something because your hazard setting isn't that good. So like you don't really mind clicking defog because you're not gonna have hazards that often, which is fine. Like this team has so much breaking potential, it doesn't really need hazards that much.
Torn is such a utility piece here. I think it doesn't mind defog concerning Kyurem and Lando can both break on the special side pretty frequently.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna find like between Torn and Scizor, I'd say don't run defog Lando, like you can. But between Torn and Scizor, every week you're gonna have one that like you don't mind with taking of their 8 combined move slots, like, you can probably fit defog in there.
Yeah, I think so.
And then maybe the Terra Manectric. It's like a speed tier. And 105 is like okay, but it's just not doing much damage.
No.
I don't think Terra, if you just got like base 4 Manectric as whatever, like 2 or 3 point electric type, and then used your remaining 2 points plus whatever you got from that to maybe Terra the Vaporeon and get a random low tier, it wouldn't change the team that much. Because your top mon's already so good. We're just talking about like a slight optimization here, but I think you're pretty good. I hope you bring Zigzagoon for real. I know you never do, but you should. Belly Drum Extreme Speed is good. And yeah, it's just such a scary team.
Yeah.
And I know like you have one, what is it? One fire resist. So
there is no grounded poison and no fighting type.
There's the type. The type chart like isn't even that good. Like it's definitely like a bottom half team in terms of if you just looked at the type chart. But the mons themselves are just so powerful. Like I would not want to face this team. Yeah. And this is just outside of our top tier. This is number 6. Didn't quite get to the top 5, but like we could easily just say this is in the top tier and just move where we consider our top tier to be. But very, very strong team. Yeah, if we wanna move on.
All right, here's one of our replacements who I think took the like 18-hour delay we had in Sinnoh waiting for Will to come back, who just hasn't come back. I hope Will's all right. If you're watching this, send us a hello.
He came back.
He did?
Yeah, he came back and he was like, "Sorry guys, I forgot about the draft." And then I don't think he said anything else. I assumed he was gonna say like, "I can replace" or something, but yeah, that was funny.
I know where he is, and I know school is crazy at that place.
Yeah,
so I get that. So he replaced. I think he was the 3rd or 4th pick, and he got Pult, which is
4th pick Pult.
That is nice. Yeeks. Celesteela, Tapu, Alola, Sandy, Quackball, Terra, Dunsparce, Moltres, Terra Mungus, and Wishiwashi. Man, there's a lot of it just looks like a very good, kind of more offensive leaning balanced team, which I think usually does better than a raw balanced team. So I think you got Dragapult, so that's instantly great. Granted, anything from like 115 on is running boosting natures, but it's not.
It's not quite as bad as you'd think. I think I ran this calc. No, I didn't run this one, but it's. Let me think. I'm gonna pull it up because it's not actually that bad. You get let's see, 331 speed on Sandy Shocks, and then anything with base. Anything with base 118, so that
so
does
120 really, yeah.
So Cinderace was 119, yeah, but you get that. The thing is, 120 is kind of tough because you get that whole tier of like Cinderace, Sneasler, Torntea, Greninja. Weavile's 125. Yeah, Greninja, Meowscarada. There's a lot in that like 120-ish range that if you had a 105 instead of a 101, they couldn't run it, but the 101 they can. But at least you still block like Raikou at 115.
Oh yeah, Raikou, big damage, man.
I think Roaring Moon's 119. I thought it was like 116.
No, it's 119.
Yeah, so, okay, maybe the speed 2s are a little worse than I thought, so maybe we overrated like one spot or something, I think.
But the one thing that
Lucrad might be better, but this is... Yeah, go ahead.
I would say the one nice thing about this is you don't have a lot of priority, so the terrain doesn't really hurt it, and it does help Dragapult a lot.
I was going to say the exact same.
Sucker Punch and Ice Shard not being able to hit it is really convenient. I also think it's great for Quackball in case you get down to low health, you can't get hit with like an E-Speed or like even its resisted Sucker or something that does like just enough to knock you out. I think it does help quite a bit.
Yep, I was literally about to say the same thing when you said that. This isn't a team that went. I don't even know if this was intentional. You didn't get like Lele with another Psychic and try to do like weird or like Unburden or some terrain stuff. it's just the nature of terrain itself is very good on this team because you have three really good psychic resists in Celesteela, Lele, and Alola Muck. That like you don't have to worry about boosting their psychic moves that much.
Right.
And then yeah, your setup sweepers in Quackaball's main setup sweeper and Dragapult can run Dragon Dance. Doesn't have to worry about anything breaking that, which otherwise would be a problem for you. And then yeah, it's pretty much just a balance team from there. I think Muckalola with Pursuit Legal for those psychic types that may try to abuse your terrain because they're probably going to come a little more often, given the fact that they have the chance to abuse it. Makes the Muck a really good pairing here. And yeah, I just like feel like you kind of hit all the types you needed. Like obviously you don't have Ice, Bug, or Rock. Those are like the three worst types in the game for like defensive purposes. Wishy-Washy is kind of funny. You already have the Quackaball, so like I don't know. Maybe you'll bring it for like a meme game in week 9, but you kind of checked all the boxes here. You have, I would say, even though it's only 2 hazard removers and 2 hazard setters, like those 4 mons are all perfectly fine running hazards or removal, depending which one it is. So even though it's a little light, I don't mind it too much. And yeah, I just think you're gonna get really good damage output. That's gonna be kind of hard to deal with because you can't priority the offensive guys.
Yeah, I think it's a good team. I think there's a lot of good balanced offense here with some good defensive pieces that can still do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I think the Amoonguss just is the one here that, I mean, Wishy-Washy's whatever. But, like, I think Amoonguss is the one where I look at it and think, you already have a grounded poison. The Dunsparce
That's
is
true.
a much better Terra. By adding the poison on the grass, the big thing that it does, resisting ground is gone. Your poison, your secondary poison, your poisons don't resist bug. I mean, guess it's good for your poison here to resist fairy if that was the main goal. You wanted to have an extra fairy resist, but I don't know. I would probably consider moving this one around if anything. But I mean, if you really want to play with Spore, go for it. I think it's really exploitable personally, but I think it's a good team.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
Yep. All right. Theros King.
The Ross King?
4.
You mean?
It's Theros.
It's the Ross King.
It's not. Theros is a set from Magic. I don't know if you make the joke.
I know. I don't know what's from Magic. I haven't played.
Or it's also from D&D.
Years.
No, it's definitely not the Ross. I've never heard that in my life.
It's the Ross.
Anyway.
The Ross. Like his name is Ross. He's the king of the Rosses.
No, I just didn't capitalize the word king.
Mistakes.
Mm.
Bronzer. I love that.
Okay, the Bronzer is actually pretty good on this team.
I mean,
it's funny.
Point, yeah, it's not the worst thing.
Its bulk is 86 defense. It's fine.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it does give you a good, like, in a random matchup, a good like hazard setter that you don't have to like run it on Arrow or Claude or Worm.
Yeah, so there's a couple funny things about this team. The first one, if you look in the bottom left, I don't know like how many people look at this stuff, but if you look at the overall weak thing at the bottom, the way the type chart works on this prep doc is like, if you have more things, if you have an equal amount weak and resisting, it'll give you a gray, like we see here with the ghost type. And if you have more resistances than weaknesses, you get green. If you have more weaknesses than resist, you get red. And I've never seen a team that's this green. I'm sure it's possible to make one that has all green, but this was really funny to me, and I thought that was pretty good. I know a couple of them are from the Bronzor. I think it's only... Actually, I don't even know if the Bronzor is... Actually, it's that the ghost goes from green to normal. Yeah, you get a couple from the Bronzor, so like that's kind of fake. But anyway, that's like not even that relevant to the team. Obviously, yes, your type chart's good. You have every type that you need, really. You don't have normal, but I think that's fine. And your speed is like very round numbers. You got 200, 150, 110, 100, 95, 85, 75, 70, 65. 25. You messed it up with the Bronzor at 23. But I thought those were very amusing things. They're not that relevant, other than the fact that your speed is good and your types are good. But yeah, your hazard stack is like pretty crazy with like Heracross, Clodsire, Orthworm, and then you just have like good attackers that are really like you got 5 or 6 attackers here that I don't really want to face ever. And I kind of think you made the most of your points. Like good mons from top to bottom. I don't think there's anything here I don't like. It's obviously weird to have Orthworm Bronzor if we're talking about a 1-pointer here. So
it's good. I think Chi-Hu round 1 is batshit crazy in today's meta.
Oh, I agree. I think Chi-Hu is a terrible round 1 pick, which made me initially have this team lower. Then I was like, it just like doesn't really have significant weaknesses other than like Rock. I would say Rock of your best mons.
Yeah.
Unless you're bringing Zygarde and Clodsire every week, like you're gonna have Orthworm, but like Chi-Yu, Aerodactyl, and Volcanion all weak to Stealth Rocks is bad. Like that's pretty much the one.
Well, Chi-Yu and Arrow, you really don't want to run boots here on Chi-Yu.
Yeah.
And then you can't.
The Volcanion always runs boots.
Yeah, Volcanion's fine. Unless you're running like a weird like berry resist for a trap or like AV, but Mega Arrow can't. I will say like Regieleki actually fits really well on this team because you like waters do give you a little bit of trouble, and this is and it's pure form without Terra Ice or Terra Grass. I think it's still really good at breaking waters. It's also a really good just spinner support mon with screens for the team, considering that the stack is so good. I think this is like, very rarely do I see a Regieleki without Terra on a team and think, oh, that's a good pickup. But like, it actually was a good pickup here.
That's exactly what I mean with like making the most of your points. Like I think Regieleki is so often drafted in really bad spots, and like this is one of the best teams for it.
Yeah, I think I think Terraflorgus is borderline bannable. And then Orthworm is also a really good Terra, especially with Earth Eater. You can go, electric, and you don't have a weakness unless you're against like Mold Breaker or Earthquake. And even then, Earthquake's not doing a ton to 140. What is it? Yeah, 145. So this is solid. I think Heracross is a great late round pickup. Zygarde's obviously incredible and terrible prep pressure. Mega Arrow is the same thing, and Ogre, I think it's a very solid team, just all around.
Yeah, you just have so many spikes and Stealth Rock setters. Like you're going to be forcing a lot of boots or a lot of times where they're going to defog, and you have so many breakers and setups. Like either, what is that? You just revealed your team.
That's not my team. It's somebody else's. We deleted that real quick.
Okay, well, anyway. Yeah, you got like Zygarde and to some extent Aerodactyl and then Wellspring. Like they can win the game on the spot after a setup, after one setup. And then Volcanion and Chi-Yu just have the raw damage to also at least claim a kill on the spot. So if you're hazard stacking Claude or even like clicking Spikes Ogerpon, and you make them waste one turn clogging or rapid spinning, you have so many chances to convert to either at least a kill or potentially winning the entire game. Even set up Terraflorgus could do that. You have just so many ways to build your team each week. Like flexible options on different mons. Yeah, I think it's really good. Even though you have a round 1 Chi-Yu, I don't think this team needed some top tier. Like Zygarde is almost like your top tier, like dragon type. Like you would have wanted like a Garchomp, but Zygarde's still totally fine.
Zygarde's just fine, yeah. All right, on to our top 3, and that is starting with Fork, My Outlet, which is
quite the name.
Yeah, it's good. First thing I see is obviously, is this my team with the Shifu Sinnoh Terra? But this is it's fast. Good Terras, Lapras. I mean, that's all you need.
Lapras is not the reason this team is good.
Why?
But
Terra, it should be Terra Lapras.
Honestly, I kind of agree. I think Terra Regidrago is kind of overrated because it's what does it have like 100 attack? Like it's not doing anything. But that's not the reason this team is up here. Terra Sinistra should have been banned. Definitely. Ignoring the fact that it just lost to like it actually should have been banned, we should not have allowed it.
No, we
So
probably
that
should.
alone, no, we should not have. That alone brings it up brings the team up like at least one spot. Like Terra's finishes were too good. It shouldn't be here. In like your mons are just so threatening. Like Urshifu, like we say, the last two teams, it's like you give them one turn to set up and they win. Like Urshifu now that it has Trailblaze and Sword Stance, really good top end. Deoxys speed. I still think this mon's overrated. Some people think it's like top 5 in the format. It's not.
I think
it's not good.
Top 5 in Paldea format.
I don't think it's top 5 in Paldea either.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think that's where people say. So I think Terraphagos is a top 5 mon in Paldea. I think the mon is so good.
It's broken. And I like that you have like the good hazard setting with a good spinner. Like you can defog with Lando if you need to, but you actually got a good spinner. Like so many teams, you got great hazards, and then you got like 3 defoggers and no spinners, and it's like, well, your hazards are kind of a waste if you can't actually keep them up. But Terraphagos, one of the best spinners. Is it the best spinner in the format?
I think Tusk is still.
Oh, Tusk is better.
The best. But I think it's better than Treads now. I think Treads was the second best. I think it's better than Treads.
I think Treads is a better spinner, but Terraphagos is a better mon that learns spin. Because Treads can come in and spin and like volt switch out and stuff, whereas like Terraphagos usually wants to stay in and keep the boost.
Yeah, see, it wants to offensively spin.
It's at least top 3 for spinners, but yeah, I mean, really good type chart. It's just the one thing with this team is you really rely on Registeel for your flying check as well as I think it's your ice check really, because Lapras is fake, and then Moth like doesn't really check ice types, especially like offensive waters that use ice moves can be a problem for your team. I think
that's why Lapras is so important.
That's literally why. Like you're not even wrong here. Like Sinistra, you'll like Terra into whatever type is. You probably go Terra Water Sinistra sometimes even.
Yeah.
But like we're kind of nitpicking. It's like very specific mons can make it so like you rely a little too much on Registeel. So like it's not even that bad. And yeah, I mean webs. I think it's a solid webs to use. Urshi is one of the best webs abusers. I think
for sure. That Lando's also I think pretty good in that 91. Clicking 145 base Earthquake is a lot, or you turning around. I think being able to run banded Lando is so rare. It's almost always scarfed that I think if you can get the band in there with the webs, you're really just doing a ton. Or even just clicking Sword Stance. Sword
Stance, Rock Polish sets can be fun, and that doesn't need webs.
With the webs.
Yeah, but it's just another like option this team has. Like you got 4, those 4 at the top are so good, and then it's like, oh yeah, Iron Moth and Sinistra are still there. So like 6
Iron
potential
Moth,
sweeteners.
Sinistra, Lapras, like there's a lot of good mons down there at the end.
Yeah, you keep doing this thing where you like add Lapras to the end of my sentence, which like I notably didn't say Lapras, but I also
because it beats you.
I also like how we haven't at all mentioned the Regidrago because that mon sucks.
Well, I just think Sinnoh is just almost always gonna Terra.
Yeah.
I mean Regidrago is one of those that you play Ranbat ladder and you get to Regidrago with Terra Dragon and Scarf and Dragon Energy and you're like, oh yes, this is incredible. But like it's not as good in draft when everybody knows it's coming.
It's great in Ranbats, but like so is like Blossom. So yeah, I think like when you have Sinnoh, which I'm gonna do a quick check. I think it's fair to say Sinnoh is the best Terramon on the board that we allowed. I probably wouldn't take anything else over it. Yeah, because we banned Celebi. I was gonna say maybe if we allowed Celebi, but
Celebi's
honestly, Sinnoh is better than Celebi, but we didn't ban Sinnoh. So anyway, I think with a Sinnoh team, because it's so good with Terra, it's one of the rare cases where I'd say you could probably get away with only 1 Terra cap, save the points on Regidrago. I don't even know what this team needs, because just like the top, I'll even give you the Lapras. The top what is it, 9 or 10?
Just
The Mons down to Lapras are so good, and I'm not counting Lapras, but Helixes. Like, there's like I don't know what you even need. Like maybe another flying, maybe an electric type. If there's like a decent electric type, just to be another flying check and add like not that you really need more speed, but like maybe one more fast thing.
yeah, I think you could
Um,
also move the Terra to Lapras and then swap out the Regidrago and get something.
I actually agree with that. I do like Lapras a lot more with Terra. It goes from 3 points to 6, so like it's actually a pretty big Terra tax. With
Oh,
Regidrago's 7 going to 10, so it's the same tax. Like it's a
yeah.
+3 tax on both. Just because water absorb any immunity ability is always good with
Well,
Terra.
it's like it's almost one of those mons that was like built for it. You get huge HP. The speed is just fast enough that you can kind of go for like +2 Dragon Dance, or you could go for like a Specs breaking set, or you just make it defensive with like a rest talk, and it becomes much more uh,
You know,
effective.
I actually think I got swept by Dragon Dance Lapras one time, and I blocked it out of my mind, and you just reminded me of that.
That's not bad. It also gets Curse.
Yeah, I don't know if that set's as good.
Oh, should we show the replay?
Okay, I trust you. I don't think we have time. We've been recording over an hour.
We have.
Um,
Let's go to the
yeah,
next one here. We can.
let's finish up here. Oh
Uh,
wait, no, we have two more.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
Caxi,
I say
Cax,
I say Kashi.
Cashi. I'm gonna
I
call
don't
you
know how to say it.
Caxi, Caxi,
It might be Cax High.
Kahai. It might be Ka by high. Um,
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so
Like another one of those. Give us the phonetic spelling. Let
yeah, you guys need to have easier to say names. So all right,
Terra Pikachu.
Mister.
I put it at 7 because I thought,
No,
oh, there's
that's
no way
so
anyone
bad.
takes it. No, it's not. It's incredible.
So it's so bad at 7, I think. Plus, you also you got your electric types. I don't know if this was really the right choice, but anyway,
I
uh,
mean, Terra Deontay is the other one that I think is like a borderline. Probably
it's
should have been banned
yeah,
for Terra.
yeah. Deontay's probably second best. Think I'd put it above Florgus personally. But yeah, so yeah, okay. Another team where you have a Terra and Diancie, it's like we didn't need to spend 7 points on Pikachu. But ignore the Pikachu, or don't ignore it. Take your pick. Mega Gallade Greninja is like so tough to beat because both of those can just sweep you at any moment. Mega Gallade, if it gets Swords Dance, or I think it learns Agility,
It
pretty
does.
much wins immediately. Greninja, if it gets Battle Bond, I don't know why Battle Bond's not listed on here. Doc's weird and considers Ash Greninja its own thing. Anyway, Greninja gets a Battle Bond boost, you lose pretty much always. And then your defensive core of Treads, Aloe, Rotom, all of them pivot, so you can position quite well. You've got more setup sweeping in Dragonite Diancie. You got some fun hazard stuff with Quillfish, Uxie, Diancie, Treads. Like you kind of got it all. Like I don't see an issue here other than a glaring fairy weakness. Your only
Um,
fairy resist is Treads, and Treads is a little bit fake because every fairy is a special attacker. Obviously, you're going to run Spadef Treads pretty often on this team. I think that's pretty clear. Your Spadef stat overall is quite low, except for Uxie maybe. Um, but so yeah, fairies kind of destroy you low key. Maybe Pikachu could be like not Pikachu and be a fairy killer and just have two poison types, two steel types or something. But anyway, because your poison type doesn't resist fairy.
yeah.
But like
Also,
you're
Sprigatito is not actually. Sprigatito is here for just vibes. He asked
we
that
gave
we gave him Sprigatito because he said, "Hey, can I just have it on my roster?" And I said, "Sure." I just made it 0 points and let him keep it. It's not coming to any games, but I think honestly, if you brought it to a game, I don't think anyone would even care.
Oh, I would totally allow it. We have a team in what is it? Is it Unova that has a free Bidoof on it?
Do we? I know we let.
Yeah,
Do we let Bash keep Venison, or do we run out of space?
yeah, yeah. No, no. I think Bash has a free Finizen for real.
Uh,
Um, yeah, we've got a few team mascots here.
Yeah, I think the team is really. I
Honestly,
think this team is really just classically good. You've
yes.
got just enough offense, immediate offense, setup offense, multiple mixed offense mons to good Terra caps. Terra normal Pikachu does a ton of damage and gives you incredible priority. And then after that, you get 3 very good utility pieces here. So it's good. I think it's just a really
Yeah,
good team.
yeah. I mean, it's like trying to find weaknesses for
It's
it, and it's
just
like
it's just clumped, and speed is like the biggest thing. But
that's not a weakness.
I just don't think it's that big of a deal.
I don't even think it's like a deal at all. It's like you have no speed gaps. Obviously, like 80-65 is not that's not a thing. And yeah, the only problem with speed is like Greninja's like in Nat decks, considering how many fast mons there are, with like a lot of the megas being allowed with like Mega Sceptile, Mega Beedrill, Mega Aerodactyl.
Arrow,
Like
yeah.
in PAL decks, Greninja is like one of the fastest mons in the format that's actually good. Whereas here it's like top 20 or something. Like there's actually a lot of things that have speed Greninja. So like if you could get something faster, but I don't know what
I
you're
mean,
gonna
he's
find
got
in the low
priority. He's got
tiers.
Shuriken, Shadow Sneak, Shuriken, E Speed Fake Out,
You skipped very important
Aqua Jet.
uh, Aqua Jet on Alamamula. It's
Oh, my
probably
bad, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's good. We don't need to say much more. You drafted a good team.
Alright, and number 1,
Yeah.
Stir Fall. And this is number
This
1 for 2 reasons. You have our Lord and Savior Spidops and Mega Obama Snow. So that's it. It's the end of the video. Good night.
all right. This team is so dumb. I don't know how you got Garchomp because you were you were second pick, which means you got Valiant. But like we obviously picked you Valiant, sure. And then you went all the way around and got 31st overall pick Garchomp, drafted after Mons like Gliscor, Ogerpon, Latias, uh, Archaludon, like Mons that are like definitely worse than Garchomp, taken before it. So, congrats, you definitely have the best team. I don't think this one's very debatable. Um, you know, you got 2 good Terra caps in my opinion. I think Kilowattrel's solid Terra. I think Mesprit's actually the better one. Functions similar to like some of these other guys we've been talking about, like just a nice like bulky setup thing like Florges, something like that.
With like a annoying ability to be able to
Yeah,
resist things like
yeah, it's better than Miss Magius. Like Miss Magius, it says Miss Magius's stats, but it actually has defense stats instead of like only being Spadef bulky. And like it's slower, but whatever. You just go like Terra Electric, you have no weaknesses, or
well,
I don't know.
it's I mean 80 105s across the board. It's fat. You could go physical or I mean specials most of the way you're gonna go with because of your setup, but it's still I mean I've run physical Mesprit multiple times. It's fine. I think it's I mean you've got a really good spinner. You've got 2 really good defoggers. You took Spide Up so early,
That
but
was funny.
I think there is going to be like when you see Spide Ups, you almost have to prep for it. Just be prepared that it comes. Like you don't want to be the last thing you want to do is like
Yeah,
have a game plan where like you walk into a Spide Ops like something random like first impression with like all the hazards and it's just not a it is annoying cheap mon you have to prep for. Melodic Mandibuzz is a good defensive combo. Throwing in
with
Delmise,
Scizor.
yeah, Delmise and Scissor in there is good.
Yeah, I think yeah, we're gonna look at the type chart, right? And it looks actually very bad, but that's mainly because of the low tiers. It's mainly because of Obama. Thanks, Obama. Um, so yeah, no, if you can see how many weaknesses Mega Obama. So if you take it out and then take out the spite ups too, the type chart becomes like considerably better.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Like that's not that bad. Like maybe fairies give you a better trouble. Like you have Scizor Nihilega. Like yes, well if you're assuming you bring the top 6, you're a little fairy weak, and like that's kind of it. So I wouldn't even worry about that too much. I do actually think Mega Abomasnow is like terrible here. I think it's like the worst pick on the draft because you already have the grass types, and
It gives you Ice Shard. It gives you a heavy Ice Shard, which
uh,
but
yeah, but it's like just don't think it's. I mean, it's fine. Like I don't even know what else you need here,
it's like
and
is it
it's
for
like
Veil? Like that's the only thing I can think of is like it's for Veil.
honestly, if it's for Veil, I'm curious how much it costed. I forget. I think it's 5 or 6. It was 5. So what did we make regular Obama stuff? Also 5.
What's
Uh,
Vanillix? Like 7?
well, yeah, because I'm kind of wondering. No, Vanillix is also 5. I sort of think
Oh, we're just going
Vanillix
Vanillix.
or regular Obama Snow is better because you get Light Clay Veil. Um, and you didn't even draft like the Hail Abuser, so you don't really care about like the Ice Rock. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter that much. It's not going to come very often, but
No, I think it's going to be
you
the
could argue
first
if
3,
you,
and then
yeah,
Manuel's Melodic Terracap, and then Nihilego will come like a decent amount of games for something, and then Spidops will come 1 or 2 games, and Delmise will come,
yeah,
2, 3, 4 games.
yeah. It's nice that you have so many options. Like everything here is bringable, even Spidops kind of
Spidops is
bringable.
so bringable. I think it's just, I mean, it's not good, but
No,
it
it's
does, but it
such a bad Pokemon.
but it just causes, you have to, it's one of those things that you have to, prepare for a little bit. I mean, I know you could say like, well, he's already got like the Hazard Bot and Chomp, and you have to prepare for it, but like Webs is a whole nother piece that you have to prepare for. Like you can, if you,
It makes you the thing with webs is it forces you to consider weird speed creep. Like normally you just speed creep like every normal person does, but then it's like, oh, I have to make sure my 110 base speed mon has enough speed to outspeed his like 64 base speed thing
mm-hmm.
after webs or something. Like, even if you bring defog or boots, like you can get knocked off or you don't have a chance to defog. It Not everyone does prep for it, which is fine because it might not come and it usually won't.
But
But
it'll catch it. It'll catch it one
you
game. I mean, it's
might
not it's not
you might
Vikavolt or like
waste.
Galv.
Yeah, yeah. Vicavolt's gonna come most weeks, but like it might force you to put in like 40 EVs that you could have had in HP. It's like it gets you a little instant L value here and there. So it's like not the worst, but it's pretty minor. I think Nihilega's kind of not that good of a Pokemon. I'd say it's probably the least bringable mon on the team. It just says it's I don't know. It's fine though. It's a fairy resist
It's a
and
good sludge. It's a
Teeth
good sludge
spikes.
wave user.
Yeah, not bad. Your team is already like so good offensively with the Iron Valiant Chomp and like take your pick of Terra Captain. That like it's weirdly like, are you using it as a special wall more often? Because it is very specially bulky. I don't know. It's fine though. You got 11 mons and they're all pretty solid. Um, yeah, literally the only thing I would do is probably change the Mega Abomasnow to be like
I would do
Vanillux.
Vanillix.
But pretty much the same thing either way,
Oh,
and it's funny, so that's fine.
it is. Yeah.
But yeah,
Anytime you can nickname the Mon Mega Obama is always enjoyable. So, all
yeah,
right. Any
all
final
right.
thoughts?
Yeah, I would say just like we said at the start, like these teams are all way better than I was expecting. Like I generally avoided doing Sinnoh power rankings. I don't like having to have like talk about bad teams and like make fun of them or like say how bad they are. And like truly, even the teams we had critiques of, it was like, oh, if you change this one thing, the team becomes good. Like just get one more mon here or whatever. Like, and we have had such bad teams in the past. I remember like season 3 Sinnoh, there was like a guy who drafted all 4 weathers on his team. And it's like we just like don't see that stuff anymore. So yeah, clearly, like the skill level of the league has been going up. Good to see the supposedly lower skill players in the lower divisions like prove that they can make good drafts. So no reason to think that they're actually low skilled. So it should be a good Sinnoh season. Definitely a lot of contenders. Even honestly, I think the 16th team is still a contender. So I don't know if you got anything else.
No. I think you guys bounced back after a rough draft. Not in terms of what you guys drafted, just the delay. So appreciate you guys all sticking with it, and we'll catch you guys here later.